Hello again, and it's time for another project. Today we're going to do some router work on this rough fencing wood. I took 5 minutes just to sand it down, make it a lot smoother. In its original state, I can guarantee you it's a lot rougher than that. So a little bit of time and effort, and you should have that cleared up nicely. Now it's a 4 named plaque. We've got Jodie, Josh, Leo and Ellie. And I've got my template sorted. It's going to be 6 inches by 34 inches across, in lengthways should I say, and I just simply tape it down where I wanted it. I did have a bit extra at either end, but it was quite knotted, so play about with your template until you find the best position. I think I've got one little knot on here, and I think it appears right in the middle of there, so it's not going to interfere with any of our little project today. Now we've stuck our template down, good old carbon paper underneath for me, and if you get a pen or pencil and draw around it like so. There is other methods. You could stick that straight to that and route over the top. People use acetone and thinners and do it in reverse and rub the back of it and transfer it. Just too much effort for me. It takes literally 5 minutes or so just to draw around it. That way you could obviously use that over and over again if you wish. But I certainly will just be doing the one project. So move your little carbon paper. And you can see from that, that's just enough image there to do what we need to do today. I like to take a couple of minutes and just shade in the areas that we want to remove, because you'll go away, come back, and you might just start removing that, all those sections here. Well, that will be the end of the project, unfortunately. Now we'll show you the bits we're going to use. Right, normally at this stage I will be showing you the lovely CNC bits that I've used on all my projects, if not most of them, and they do have a small adapter shaft on them, 3.175, so you do need an adapter collet, a 6.35mm. That just converts that shaft to a 1/4 inch. That one has fit a 1/4 inch router. If you have an 1/2 inch router, you're obviously going to need a bigger adapter collet. Now normally I would put this on 30 degrees, they come in 25s, 15s, 10s, and I would go round and do all my lines on here, and then use end milling bits. These have the same size shaft on them, so obviously you will use the same adapter. Then use these to clear out all the shaded area. Now today I've had a couple of comments saying, why don't you just go straight in with these? And I've done projects with these, but if you have pointed areas, if you like the sharp areas, corners, pieces, it's a lot easier to get in with these CNC bits. And also I've got no pointed areas on here to show you because it's quite a curvy design. But if you want to get right in here, let's say, you just get in there better, and as you come up towards the corner, you can lift your router up, and that will bring it to a nice sharp corner and back down there. But as we've got quite curvy curves on this, I'm just going to attempt, and we'll start off by literally just using an end milling bit. So shock horror, no CNC bits today. There is bigger bits out there. I've got these lovely chunky things. A couple of years ago when I first started my little project, all I ever used was that, a straight flush bit, 1/8 bit. I would do my lines with that, they clear out on everything, and that works fine. That's got a 1/4 inch shaft on, and that will fit your router no problem. And then I discovered the little CNC bits, which are fantastic. Little eBay or Amazon for me, and then end milling bits for the clear out. So I'm going to just try something. We'll start it off with an end milling bit. It's a little bit slower, and you don't want to go too deep with these. Obviously they're quite thin, but I'm just going to still do all my lines with this, and as we go along we might use it just to clear out. So just for a change today, we're going to do the whole project with just that one bit. So end milling bit into our adapter, we'll pop that in the router. I'll set it to about 3mm. I have a piece of wood over here somewhere. I just made a little gauge like that, and I know that's 3mm deep because it's obviously more or less the same depth as your 3.175mm. So I'll call that 3mm. So we'll set that in our adapter collet, set it to 3mm, and we'll just start and see if we can go around these bits here with just the end milling bit. If we find it's just too dusty or it's just too slow a process, we'll go back to the good old CNC bits. But for now, let's just do end milling bit and see how we get on. Right, we've got that end milling bit into the router, as you can see from there, and that's literally just about 3mm. That just skims across there nicely, so that's plenty deep enough. This might be a slow process, and like I just said previously, we might do 2 or 3 letters and think, no, we'll go back to the good old CNC bits. I've had a little play just there. I've done one, the dot on the letter I. Remember, because there's no degrees on these, they're basically straight sides, you will get a straight sided cut. So if you want a bit more of a slant, a bit more design and degree, be it 25, 15, person myself, by the time I've gone around with my end millibits, I tend to wipe all my degree angles away. So we can see from there, there we go, that's a straight end milling bit. And we'll carry on now, we'll see if it works out. If it does, we've learnt something today. If not, there's plenty of other bits out there, profile bits, liner bits, spiral up cuts. It's just a personal thing, and find the one that suits you. So let's carry on with this end milling bit, and we'll see how we get on with routing this one out. Right, you can see from that we've gone all the way around all the lines with that end milling bit. That's gone really nice, to be honest. I was quite surprised how easy it's gone round. I wouldn't like to say what it would be like on different woods. Pine might be totally different. And like I said previously, it's only because it's nice and curvy. We've got no tight corners to get into. And as we've gone along, we've basically removed it. Now you could do one letter at a time. You could do your lines, clear it out, and basically move on to your next letter. So we've done a few of them. A few down there, look, we've cleared out straight away. So we're just going to go back in again and remove these areas that we've left in. And then once we get it all nicely cleared out, we'll give it a general tidy up with a engraving bit on the end of a flexi cable attached to a Dremel. I use these cheap eBay engraving bits, one with a nice flat bottom, and we'll be able to just get inside there and just give it a nice general tidy up. And then we'll whisk over the top with a mouse sander, and then we'll be on for popping a bit of paint in. Right, we've cleaned out the rest of our lettering with that end milling bit, as you can see from there. And that's come out really easy. I've had no issues with that whatsoever. I still like to go around and give it a nice general tidy up with a flexi cable on the end of our Dremel there. Just a cheap eBay special. These are ideal because they're good size for you. If you've got small hands and stuff, you can get inside there with a little engraving bit and just nibble up to those sides there. As I always said with my previous videos, we are doing inset, but always route up to the lines, so you should just about see a bit of pencil line going all the way around. And the good thing with those end milling bits is you're a little bit too far out, they do route the side bits as well as the bottom, so the back piece is quite smooth there, as you can more or less see. So when you go around, you can just nibble away, and if it's anything that's not quite right, we can just go in with our little engraving bit, and we're just going to do exactly the same. Just clear it out, tidy it up, and then we'll do a bit of mouse sander. Just get rid of our pencil lines, give it a nice smoothing down. We'll do the side bits a bit more. I don't think I've even touched the ends on this, as you can tell, so we'll sort those out as well. Get rid of all this rough stuff where I've just roughly cut it with a handsaw. And then if needed, we can get a bit of sandpaper and get a bit carried away with that if so. Okay, so a quick general tidy up, and then when we come back, we'll be ready for putting some paint in. Oh, and while I remember, for hanging purposes, it's just going to simple hole at both ends. It's just an outdoor piece, remember. So I will just drill an hole in there, and they can screw with the hole. I've been known to route out keyhole slots on the back and hang it that way, but for this one, a couple of screw holes, and this little project will be heading towards the finishing line. Right, this would be the stage where we normally put our paint in, and I say those lovely lines, that's enough sanding down and tidying up for me. So I place my pattern to one side, the project should I say, stepped back to admire my lovely work and realised, the eagle eye among you will notice I've literally changed the names around. On our original template, I did have the Jodie at the front. That's not the issue. We put Josh first, Jodie, Leo and Ellie. However, somewhere along the line, I've missed an E off the end of Jodie. That should be Jodie. And there wasn't enough room to get an E in there. Don't ask me what I did. Just one of those things. I think it's probably only the second time in over 600 projects I've been caught out. So basically, I've had to start again from scratch. And we've got our letter E in this time. So please, please, please check your templates. I checked mine. I don't know how I'm explaining this to you guys. I did check mine. And it wasn't until I finally finished the first one that the letter E had been missing off the end of Jodie. And there was no other way around it. And for some reason, I can still show you the template here. So we had our Josh at the beginning. All I can think of with the Jodie, when that Josh was originally printed out, it did have a section of the letter E attached to it. So you basically got, I'll just show you. On the piece of paper, I literally just had that end of the E showing. And for some reason, when I've come across to place it on the end of Jodie, I've just missed the E out completely and put that onto there. That's all I can think of. There's for making Jodie. So I can't have no explanation for it, but I thought I'd just show you guys anyway that even on a good day, things can go wrong. So Jodie has become Jodie once more, and we've certainly remembered that lesson. And that's it. We're back on track again now. So there's our finished piece for this project. We're going to put some black paint in there. Now don't worry about this one here. I'm literally going to cut that off and make a Leo and Ellie sign for the grandmother of the two little boy and girl there. And I'll even salvage a Josh at the end for the actual father. Unfortunately, unless there's a Jodie out there, that one's of no good. But anyway, there you go. We don't get it right all the time. So we're just going to throw some paint in here now. And then we'll brush it all in nice and quickly. No need to put any sealant on there or anything. There is wood sealers you can purchase just to seal the sides of the wood. Stop the paintwork from bleeding in. I normally spray a layer of varnish on there just quickly. But on this one, I think the paint's that thick. I'm just going to brush it straight on. Once it's dry, we'll skip over the top. And then we're going to pop off some of that lovely boiled linseed oil. So I'll find some paint and then we can start filling this one in. Right, I'm going to use Painter's Touch paint today. It's ideal for outdoor projects. I painted some that have been up 4 or 5 years and they're still looking good. So it's just a simple case of just throwing this in. I've literally got about ½ inch at the bottom of this, so I'm going to have to get my act together and get them supplies sorted. So we can just throw it in like that. I will go over this twice, I know for a fact. Remember, I've got no sealant on here. There is wood sealant just to seal those side walls. Or like I said previously, you can just spray this. But I'm going to take a chance. Just throw that in. You could spray this if you wanted to. You could mask it off and spray it just the same. I don't think I've used spray on any of my projects. Just a simple case of brushing it in like so. And I'll let this first one act as a sealant or primer, shall we say. Just to seal that wood a little bit better. And then by the time I get to one end, it dries really quick. We can start again at the other end and basically just fill it all in. And then we'll get a nice sanding over with a mouse sander, just to make all those letters nice and crisp again. And let's not forget, I'm just going to literally drill an hole at either end, just for hanging purposes. Okay, I'll come back when this is all nicely sanded down. We've drilled our 2 holes, and then we can pop on a bit of boiled linseed oil just to darken this wood down again. Right, we've covered all those in with the paint. Literally went over it twice. Obviously we've got all this overflow now, so I'm just going to skim over it. I normally use a mouse sander, but I've tried it on this letter down below here to the right, and it's just a little bit slow, so we're going to go in with a nice big belt sander and hope for the best. So let's skim this all off now, make it nice and crispy, and then we'll drill a couple of holes in, and then we'll be heading towards the linseed oil and the finishing line. Right, that's all nicely sanded down. Didn't take a lot of doing with that belt sander on other projects. I prefer a little mouse sander, but we did finish off with that. And you can see from that it's all nice and crisp again. I can honestly say I can't see any bleeding. Is it perfect? It's only cheap fencing wood, remember, so you're not going to get a fantastic job, but I'm quite happy with that. If I can get any closer, you can see everything's fine. I did have a little knot pop out there, so a bit of glue on the back and we popped it back in again. So it's been one of those little projects for something that was going to be so simple to do. It certainly worked out a little bit harder. What I will do, I will drill those holes in eventually. I think I've mentioned them half a dozen times and I still haven't put it in. I've just noticed here. But before that, I'm just going to go over it with some linseed oil and let it dry. Bring all this grain hopefully back and give it protection. Boiled linseed oil for outside, not forgetting to do the sides and the back if we want to. I use this on a lot of my projects and it works out really nice. It does darken in time, so you can come back in a year's time and this would be a lot darker, so just bear that in mind. And I like to get a brush and simply just brush it on like so. You'll see from there all that lovely veins, just grain pops through. And I won't be over concerned about the lettering, just put it inside there as well. That way you just clear all that dust out at the same time, what we couldn't blow out before. And remember, get those sides done, all darkened up nicely like so. Once it's all covered, get a little rag, something, just give it a nice wiping down. Okay, I'll come back when this has all been nicely finished, and I guarantee you I will have those holes drilled in at either side. Right, that's it. This little project is over. You notice we drilled our holes finally at each end, literally for hanging purposes, and that's all our lettering all nicely done. Now normally I like to spray a bit of varnish on, just give it a shine, but we put our boiled linseed in oil on there already, and that's going to be plenty of protection for what we want outside. And I like the look of that wood there, slightly more sanding on what I would normally do, and it's come out really nice. I do like the effect of the wood there. So I'm just going to leave it with that boiled linseed oil on. So that's it. We've had a bit of a play with this one. Definitely test our patience as regard to the missing E. And I basically had to do it all again and start from scratch. So watch your templates. Make sure your spelling's right before you put anything down. And that's it. We are finished. So it measures in at 35 inches by 6 inches high. Remember, we used just the end milling bits, no CNC bits on this one. They have a 3.175 shaft. They will fit a Dremel if you have the Dremel router attachment. But if you have a 1/4 inch shanked router, you need a 6.35mm reducer collet. That will fit your router. And we use that to do our lines and all the clear outs, and it come out really nice. I was surprised how easy and how nice it came out. This second one was less than an hour, and we had all that done. It was second time round, remember? And you can see from that, that's fine. The only thing with the straight flush bits, obviously your sides, they are straight down. Ideal if you're going to fill this in with resin, if it was an indoor piece. Perfect for that. And remember, this is just cheap fencing wood. It might be a totally different story if you're going to use this straight away on oak, ash, sycamore, maple or whatever. But for the fencing wood and pine, I reckon that's fairly easy on that. And then we painted our painter's touch paint into all the lettering, give it nice sanded down. And like I say, got to be good old boiled linseed oil to finish my projects off. We did all the sides, and we also did all the back on this one. And that's it. This little project is finally finished. Took a little bit longer than we expected, but no rush. Just enjoy yourselves. Take your time, and you'll get there eventually. Thank you very much for watching.